The warning didn't come with panic or chaos. It came quietly, in the form of a police K-9 refusing to move at the edge of a dark industrial complex just after midnight. The dog's posture changed, muscles tightening, ears lifting, eyes locked on something no one else could see. To the officers, it appeared to be hesitation. To the dog, it was certainty, and that difference nearly decided who would survive the night. The operation had been planned for weeks. Intelligence indicated a weapons cache hidden within one of the abandoned buildings along the river. The team had done raids like this before, dozens of them. Confidence ran high, reinforced by experience and numbers. The K-9 unit was included as protocol, not a necessity. To most of the officers, the dog was there to confirm what they already believed, not to challenge it. As the team moved closer, boots crunching over gravel, the K-9 slowed. His nose traced the air, reading layers of scent invisible to humans. Oil, metal, old concrete, and something else, fresh, sharp, wrong. He stopped completely and leaned backward against the leash, growling low. The handler felt it instantly. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't fear. This was a warning. The officers paused, but impatience won. Buildings like this were full of strange smells. Chemicals lingered for years. Animals passed through. Dogs reacted to things humans couldn't verify. The team leader signaled forward. Momentum mattered. Waiting created doubt. And doubt, they believed, got people hurt. The K-9 refused again. The handler hesitated, torn between instinct and command. The dog's training was built on trust that when he reacted like this, something was wrong. But the call had already been made. The door was breached. Inside, the building felt hollow. Long corridors stretched into darkness. Rusted machinery cast sharp shadows under flashlight beams. The officers advanced carefully, weapons raised, clearing rooms one by one. At first, nothing happened. No movement, no resistance. Confidence grew with every step. Behind them, the K-9 pulled harder, breathing faster now, warning escalating. His growl echoed faintly against the concrete walls. The handler tried to slow the team, but the officers were already deep inside. Then, the floor collapsed. The explosion wasn't loud at first. It was violent. A sudden force ripped through the structure, throwing officers to the ground. Fire erupted from beneath the metal grating. Smoke filled the corridor instantly. Alarms screamed. Radios crackled with overlapping signals. The building had been rigged. As officers scrambled to regain their footing, secondary blasts detonated along the perimeter, sealing exits and collapsing support beams. The operation hadn't walked into a storage site. It had walked into a trap designed with precision and patience. The K-9 broke free. He didn't flee. He moved with purpose. Through smoke and debris, the dog ran toward his handler, grabbing onto his vest and pulling him away from a falling beam, seconds before it crushed the space where he had been standing. Another officer fell, stunned and bleeding, near a wall already cracking under the heat. The K-9 diverted instantly, positioning himself between the officer and the flames, barking sharply until others noticed and dragged the injured man to safety. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Breathing became painful. Panic crept in. Not fear, but the realization that the plan was gone. Control was gone. The K-9 moved again, this time leading. He darted down a narrow side corridor the team had ignored earlier, stopping at a maintenance hatch barely visible behind collapsed shelving. The handler forced it open. Fresh air rushed in. A service tunnel. Old, forgotten, just wide enough to crawl. The officers followed now, without hesitation. Behind them, another explosion tore through the main corridor, collapsing it entirely. The tunnel shook but held. The K-9 kept moving, checking ahead, pausing only to make sure everyone was still behind him. When one officer collapsed from smoke inhalation, the dog stayed with him, refusing to move until medics reached them from the far exit. Outside, the night was chaos. Fire crews arrived, bomb squads secured the site. Investigators worked through the wreckage until dawn. The warehouse was destroyed, but the casualty count was far lower than expected. Later, they learned the truth. The site had been deliberately baited. False intelligence, carefully placed explosives. The goal wasn't to hide weapons, it was to lure law enforcement into a confined space and eliminate them. The timing had been perfect, the trap almost worked. What failed was the assumption that no one would notice the details. The K-9 had noticed everything. In the aftermath, officers sat silently, faces streaked with soot and exhaustion, replaying every moment leading up to the breach. The warning hadn't been subtle, it had been clear, persistent, ignored. The dog sat beside his handler, calm again, scanning the perimeter as if nothing had changed. He hadn't panicked, he hadn't second-guessed, he had acted on what he knew, not what he hoped. Protocols changed after that night. K-9 alerts were no longer treated as suggestions, they became the authority. Trust became policy, not preference. Because when officers didn't trust the K-9, the cost was almost everything.